Alright guys, TechCobbit here again today, and CWL Anaheim begins today in just a few hours from when you're watching this. I'm recording this at 7 AM, so up nice and early. Didn't feel too great yesterday. I think it's like overhang of the jet lag or whatever. Haven't been on a flight that long in, well, my entire life. So anyway, feeling a little bit better today I think, which should be good. So today is Friday, the weekend is about to begin. I'm probably going to go down to the venue after this, see what's going on in the open bracket, and then the action begins on main stage at 2 PM Anaheim time, 10 PM if you guys are in the UK, even further if you're further east. And then, of course, you know, on the East Coast, it starts at 5 PM. We'll go through the schedule in a little bit here. But what I wanted to talk about today is who's going to win the event, because that is what's on the tip of everyone's tongue. I like doing these type of videos before the event begins because everyone can talk about it. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have different opinions. Now, I'd be surprised if there's too many of you with opinions outside the norm. I think also in this video, I'd like to talk about some sort of dark horses for the event, because the top three, in my opinion, right now are kind of set in stone. But in terms of the top three favourites, maybe FaZe Clan can come in there as a fourth, as we'll get into throughout this video. But yeah, I'm going to look through some power rankings, and I'm sure you guys will leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, as you always do. I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's video as well. So like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. And let's hop right into it here. So firstly, Maven says the following. He says he's 3 out of 3 for this year. I do remember him calling Luminosity for Fort Worth, which was pretty impressive. And I guess he called OpTic for Vegas as well, and he definitely called 100 Thieves for London. He said 100 Thieves is going back to back, so wonder what you guys think about that. Of course, 100 Thieves won London, and maybe it's eUnited's time here, because OpTic and 100 Thieves, the other two favourites for this event, have already won tournaments so far this year. Maybe it's eUnited's time. It would be very interesting. So let's go on to these pools then. So just to have a look at this very quickly, because of course how the pools go determines how the matches end up. Because let's say, for example, I think OpTic Gaming will top this pool. I think FaZe will top this pool. I think the top seeded teams will top every pool. But it's not out of the realms of possibility that one of these teams manages to upset 100 Thieves. Possibly Gen G might be the most likely team to do so, because of course they did go Game 5 with 100 Thieves at London. They were in fact up 2-0 in the series. If Gen G get back to that form again, especially in pools as they did at London, I think they lost like one map in pools at London or something ridiculous. They definitely didn't lose in it a single respawn. So if they can manage to do that against 100 Thieves here in pools, and 100 Thieves comes second, and then, for example, Pool B goes as seeded, then we'll have 100 Thieves versus eUnited in the very first round, because, well, that's how it works. Pool A plays Pool C first round, Pool B plays Pool D. If you guys are very new to the system, the bottom two teams will go down to the losers bracket, and the top two teams will advance through the winners bracket, and the first place team in Pool A will play the second place team in Pool B, if this is how the final standings do emerge. But of course that is yet to be seen. And the other thing could happen as well. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that Reciprocity managed to upset eUnited. I think Reciprocity are probably my dark horse for this event, even though you could consider them like a top 6, top 8 team, something like that. So maybe that's not a dark horse, but in my opinion, the fact that OpTic, eUnited and 100 Thieves are such clear favourites for this means that anyone in like that B tier range is could be considered a dark horse. I think not necessarily to win the tournament. I'd be surprised if I'd be very surprised if Reciprocity won it. But I mean, you know, a team that I could see making a run to like top 4, top 3, maybe even a grand finals on a crazy day. But I don't see that too likely. But yeah, I think maybe they'll be my dark horse. So let's move on here to some power rankings. These are the CoD Gamepedia ones that I think we put out yesterday. I'll leave a link to CoD Gamepedia's new Twitter in the description box below, because the other one got suspended off Twitter. Talked about that a few days ago. But we've got a backup account in reserve, so hopefully that'll be okay. So here we go. These are our power rankings. We had 100 Thieves first, eUnited second, OpTic Gaming third. You guys may dispute this, whether you think OpTic should be second instead of eUnited. I think this is probably fair. It's difficult to say, of course. We haven't seen them play each other since London. But at London, eUnited did beat OpTic 3-0. You can say that was the subject of, you know, the fact that they just lost a series against 100 Thieves, which they choked the control. You know, we did a gameplay breakdown of that a little bit ago. But you could also say that OpTic are actually up. Map number 1 against eUnited, they actually were up like I mean, 200 to like 120 or something. OpTic had a big advantage map number 1 and threw it away. So you can it's difficult to say that the momentum was with eUnited the entire series. But regardless, eUnited did get the better of them the last time they played. Also, it's worth considering that they both went 7-0 in their league. You could argue that eUnited's matches were harder. Pool B may be harder than Pool A, but of course that's up for contention either way. So I think these teams are pretty close right now. Be interested to see how it goes throughout the tournament. Hopefully we do get to see them play each other. And then it's kind of difficult to say that 100 Thieves aren't number 1. Yes, they got beaten by United in the league, but they won every other match and they did beat eUnited when it really counted at London. So I'd say they're still my number 1 team right now. I think this is probably about fair. Then FaZe Clan in 4th, I think is probably a clear 4th place right now. They'd be looking very good in their division as well. And after that, then it really goes into the mosh pit, because Gen.G were not looking good in the league by any means. I'd be very surprised if they managed to take the tournament for sure. But I think that they could do very well early on. I wouldn't be surprised if they did well in their Pool D. But yeah, they haven't been looking so good. Their search hasn't been looking as solid. Hopefully we get to see them bounce back nicely here. But I really think that when the going gets tough, I don't think there's a chance this team wins the tournament, because they don't have any, prior winners on their team, and people are going to keep the composure from my estimation. And then we've got Reciprocity number 6 here, which I think may be about fair. I think you can swap a few of these teams round, but Rec may be a team that I fancy doing something this event. I would like to see it before finals and champs, of course, towards the end of the year. Keep in mind as well, after this weekend finishes on June the 17th, today is the 14th, the roster change period will begin, and all of these teams can make as many changes as they like, which is going to be at a crazy time for sure. Now we've got Splice here in number 7. I think Splice is a team that maybe on their weekend I can see them taking the tournament. I think it would require something monumental from Temp, and probably with Nelson on the team and relatively little time to get everything in gear compared to especially the top 3 that have been teaming together for a long time now. I think it's going to be difficult for them to get anything done. But, those are enough. That's probably a team in the kind of B tier, which we'll go on to look at in a second, which I could see potentially taking the championship. But for me, it's got to be between the top 3. I think my favourites will probably still be 100 Thieves. I know that OpTic are going to have probably even more crowd support here in Anaheim than they did in London, so maybe that'll get behind them. I think that all 3 teams should comfortably get out of their pool. I do think 100 Thieves maybe have an edge down the stretch in this one. It was very interesting, of course, at London, how OpTic Gaming looked dominant throughout the first 2 days of the tournament, and then they had very, very close series against 100 Thieves, and they just got slightly outplayed. It wasn't an individual player's fault. 100 Thieves were just the better team on the day. Maybe they'll be able to get the revenge here, but I honestly see this tournament going in a similar vein, that these top teams will look very good on the early days, and then it will just come down to who performs on the championship Sunday, from what I think. So I don't think many of the other teams have a chance to do anything special here, to be honest. Luminosity down here at 16th is kind of funny. Not sure they're actually the worst team right now. I think with Ricky on the team, maybe they can get something going, but of course their pool comprises 100 Thieves, Gen.G and Team Envy, who also, you never know what they could do on a weekend. Let's not forget last year when they were on Evil Geniuses, of course, similar kind of team. You had Silly on the team, Aches on the team, Bevels as coach. Of course, at the time you had Apathy and Assault on the team as well, but those guys had a horrible search and destroy record in the league, as they have done this year, but they really turned it around. Bevels and Aches especially, I think, went to town working on new search and destroy strategies, and it was about this time last year at CWL Seattle when they had a great performance and came second in the tournament, and then of course they went on to bring that momentum into the World Championship where they ended up winning it. So of course it's interesting whether that storyline will continue here. I doubt it. I don't think Search and Destroy in this game is quite tactical enough to be able to come up with stuff like that. Last year in World War II, they were creating new smoke spots and all sorts of nice strategies. In this game, I don't really think that's possible. There's not even a smoke grenade unless you want to use a character which is banned, unfortunately. So moving onwards here, these are the power rankings from CoD Stats. The way they do it is kind of nice. They put them into tiers. So we've got the S tier, which is like 100% championship contenders. They're going to be there on the championship Sunday, like guaranteed kind of team. And then you've got the A tier, which is teams that are definitely going to be contending for the championship, but maybe not quite as high as 100 Thieves. Now, I think maybe this is a difficult distinction to make between these teams. I think it's kind of fair. Okay, I'm just going to be a little bit quieter here because I think there's some people, it's still pretty early, and I think these walls are a little bit less they don't restrict as much noise as I thought they did. So I'll try and speak a little bit quieter straight into the microphone. Hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. It's just a little bit too early, so that's unfortunate. But anyway, so looking through these power rankings, it's kind of interesting, kind of similar to what we saw elsewhere. The A teams are kind of the ones that like will be competitive down the stretch, and I think this is pretty fair power rankings overall. And then yeah, these are the ones. So S tier, elite level, 100 Thieves, and we have these lovely graphs here, courtesy of CoD Stats, talking about, you know, the individual players, how they rank up in terms of damage per minute, objectives, score per minute, all this stuff. And, you know, Octane's the do-it-all, Slash is the do-it-all, and yeah, very impressive stuff. So be very interested to hear your thoughts on this down in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to take this tournament? Because I think it's really going to come down to Championship Sunday. Who has the clutch factor? Who is going to make it happen on the day? And for me, it's probably just between 100 Thieves, OpTic Gaming, and eUnited. Pretty tough to say overall, I would say. But like, what's very interesting to me is that 100 Thieves, or like eUnited even, probably have the best chance of winning in a very long time. And Clayster especially, we talked about the other day, he hasn't won a championship in like how many years now? Like that's 3, nearly 4 years, isn't it? Something like that. Back in the, I think it's Advanced Warfare when he won his last championship, apart from early Infinite Warfare when they had that PlayStation Invitational, but no one really counts that. So very interesting. I think this is probably his best chance to win a championship in forever, to be honest. Not forever, but you know, in a very, very long time. Now they've got Simp on the team. He could go off at any moment. And Clace has been playing very well in Search and Destroy as well. Whether this will come down to Search and Destroy is interesting, of course, because let's not forget 100 Thieves at CWL London. They had a negative record in their Search and Destroy, which is pretty unprecedented, to be honest, for a team that ends up winning the championship. I think that only happened one other time in Call of Duty history, so very interesting indeed. And eUnited Search and Destroy has been looking very good. If 100 Thieves can step up their search game, which they have done a little bit in the league since then, it's going to be very, very impressive indeed. And I would not be surprised at all if they end up winning the tournament, if they do get their Search and Destroy back on track. But I think that's going to be a key thing to note. Their OpTic Gaming Search and Destroy has been very good as well. Let's not forget, like, historically, OpTic Search and Destroy has not been the best in the world. Back in Infinite Warfare time was really the only time that it was very good, because it was played a little bit differently, kind of how it is in this game. So pretty exciting. Of course, now you've got Dashi and TJ on the team. Your Search and Destroy is always going to be pretty solid at the very least. But yeah, you know, the old nature phrase, Search and Destroy wins championships, that's what I would keep my eyes out for in this one. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. Sorry I had to be quiet for these last few minutes, but I've realised that it's still pretty early here, and the rooms are not particularly noise proof. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. They're not watching this flank right now, so. Oh, one's like on the bomb. We got one's like on the bomb.
Yeah.
I got aim assist on through the wall somehow.
Yeah, I'm bomb. Last guy pushing you. I'm coming.
Yeah, pushing me. He's absolutely one shot.
I'm coming.
Come on. Bitch. He's left. Oh yeah, we actually won, my bad. I legit thought that was fucking 4-4 looking to go. I didn't realise that was to win the game. I was like, give me the proper streaks. Like.
Nice work, Black Ops.
Good shit. Yeah, good shit to me, fucking hell. I wonder if he'll give me all 3. Guns?
Kan bara här man där innan den fight.
Guns? Guns. See that?
Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about.